The greatest discovery any human being can make is the knowledge of God Himself. To understand God is to understand life, because He is the very source of existence, purpose, and destiny. Without a right doctrine of God, everything else in life becomes shaky, uncertain, and unstable. When you know who God is, you know who you are, you know why you are here, and you know where you are going. The doctrine of God is not a subject for theologians alone. It is the foundation for living victoriously, walking with authority, and fulfilling your divine assignment on earth. God is the source and origin of all things. Without Him, nothing exists or has meaning. This truth is not just a theological statement, it is the foundation of life itself. When you look at the universe, the galaxies, the oceans, the mountains, the rivers, the animals, and even your own breath, you are witnessing evidence of a source that is greater than creation itself. Creation cannot explain itself. A building cannot appear without a builder. A painting cannot exist without an artist. Likewise, the world cannot exist without God, who is the source and origin of all. The danger of humanity is that we often mistake the resources for the source. We look to money, careers, governments, relationships, or even our own abilities as if they were the origin of our security and success. But these things are only channels, they are not the source. The moment you confuse the channel with the source, you set yourself up for disappointment, because channels dry up, resources fade, and circumstances change. But the source remains constant. The scripture says, "In Him we live and move and have our being." That means without God you cannot truly function, exist, or fulfill destiny. Think about it this way. If you disconnect a light bulb from electricity, it may still look like a bulb, but it has no life, no power, no light. In the same way, if a person disconnects from God, they may still look alive, but they are only existing, not living. True life begins when you reconnect to the source of all things. That is why Jesus said, "I am the vine, you are the branches. Without me, you can do nothing." A branch separated from the vine withers because its life is not in itself, it is in the vine. This is why understanding God as the source is so critical. If He is the source, then you don't panic when a resource is taken away. If a job ends, if money dries up, if people walk away, it does not destroy you, because your confidence is not in the channel, it is in the source. The source knows how to open new doors, create new opportunities, and bring provision from unexpected places. Ravens can feed Elijah. Manna can fall from heaven. Water can come out of a rock, because the source is unlimited. You must learn to anchor your life in the source. Too many people live in fear of losing things because they are attached to resources instead of being attached to the origin. God never intended for your faith to be in material things. He designed you to walk in faith in Him. That is why the first commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. When you set Him as your source, everything else becomes secondary, and peace fills your heart, no matter what storms come your way. Understanding God as the source also changes how you see yourself. You are not an accident. You are not the result of chance. You came from the eternal mind of God, the source of purpose and destiny. He is the one who formed you in your mother's womb, the one who numbered your days, the one who placed gifts, talents, and assignments inside you. That means you are significant, because the source never creates anything without reason. Even if people reject you, overlook you, or misunderstand you, the source gave you meaning before anyone else had an opinion about you. When you know your source, you stop comparing yourself with others. A tree doesn't envy another tree because both draw from the same soil. Likewise, when your roots are in God, you don't compete or feel insecure. You grow where you are planted. You blossom because the source sustains you. Finally, understanding God as the source brings responsibility. If He is the origin of your life, then everything you are and everything you have belongs to Him. Your time, your gifts, your resources, your influence, they are not yours to hoard. They are entrusted to you by the source. That means your success is not measured by how much you accumulate, but by how faithfully you steward what the source has placed in your hands. So today, make a decision to reconnect, realign, and reaffirm your life in the source. Stop chasing after resources as if they define you. Stop living in fear of loss. Stop looking at life as if it depends on you alone. Lift your eyes higher. The God who created the heavens and the earth is your source. He is eternal, unshakable, and inexhaustible. And when you root your life in Him, you will never run dry, because rivers never run out at the source. The doctrine of God is the foundation of true knowledge and understanding. If you attempt to build your life without this foundation, you are like a man building a house on sand. No matter how beautiful, no matter how impressive, when the storms come, it will fall. Knowledge that does not begin with God is incomplete, unstable, and misleading. That is why the scripture says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom." It means that the starting point of all knowledge is not the opinions of men, not the discoveries of science, not the philosophies of cultures, but the revelation of God Himself. Think about the world we live in. People are running after knowledge everywhere. Books, universities, courses, seminars, endless searching on the internet. Yet many are still empty, confused, and purposeless. Why? Because knowledge without God lacks meaning. It gives facts but not truth. It gives information but not wisdom. You can know how something works but not why it exists. True knowledge is not simply acquiring data. It is connecting information back to the source of all things. When you embrace the doctrine of God, you are not just studying a subject. You are anchoring your life in the very center of truth. God is not one option among many. He is the foundation of everything. Without Him, education is misdirected, business is selfish, relationships are unstable, and life itself becomes a question mark. But when you start with God, suddenly everything else falls into place. You begin to see how every piece of your life connects back to Him. That is what real understanding looks like. A person who ignores God in their pursuit of knowledge is like someone trying to assemble a puzzle without the picture on the box. They may try to force pieces together, but it will always be confusing. God is the picture on the box. He shows you the big picture of why you are here, what life is about, and where everything is heading. Without that, you may have pieces of knowledge, but you will never see the whole truth. This is why the doctrine of God must come first. It is not optional, it is essential. It is not for religious people only. It is for every human being who wants to live effectively. If you want to understand yourself, you must first understand your Creator. If you want to understand purpose, you must first understand the one who designed purpose. If you want to understand destiny, you must first understand the one who holds the future in His hands. Without Him, you may gather information, but you will never grasp truth. Let's look at an example. A scientist can study the human body, describe the cells, the DNA, the organs, and explain how everything functions. That is knowledge. But without God, he cannot explain why life exists, why humans are different from animals, why there is a spirit within man that longs for eternity. True understanding begins when you realize that life itself came from God and that every detail of creation points back to Him. This transforms knowledge into wisdom. When you build your life on the doctrine of God, you develop stability that cannot be shaken. The world may change, opinions may shift, but the truth about God remains the same. He is eternal, unchanging, and reliable. That means the knowledge you build on Him is secure. You won't be tossed back and forth by every new idea, every new trend, every popular philosophy. You stand firm because you are anchored in the unshakable foundation of God's truth. This foundation also gives you confidence. Many people today are uncertain, doubtful, and insecure because they are standing on shaky ground. But when your knowledge begins with God, you know where you came from, why you are here, and where you are going. That gives you boldness to face challenges, courage to make decisions, and peace in the midst of storms. You are not guessing your way through life. You are walking on solid ground. The doctrine of God also protects you from deception. We live in a world filled with voices, media, culture, false religions, distorted philosophies. Many sound intelligent, persuasive, even spiritual. But without the foundation of God, they lead to confusion and destruction. When you know the doctrine of God, you can test every idea against truth. You can discern what is real and what is counterfeit. You are not easily misled. because your anchor is not in man's wisdom, but in God's revelation. Finally, embracing the doctrine of God leads you into transformation. True knowledge does not just inform the mind, it changes the heart. When you understand who God is, you cannot remain the same. You begin to see life through His perspective. You begin to value what He values, love what He loves, hate what He hates. You walk in wisdom because your knowledge is rooted in Him. So the question is, what are you building your life on? Are you building on shifting sands of human opinion? Or are you standing on the eternal foundation of God's truth? The doctrine of God is not just theology. It is life, it is power, it is stability. Without it, knowledge is empty. With it, understanding becomes wisdom, and wisdom leads you into destiny. When you make God the foundation of your knowledge, you step into a life of clarity, confidence, and unshakable purpose. God is eternal, self-existent, and independent of creation. This truth alone separates Him from everything else that exists. Everything we see, touch, or know has a beginning. The sun, the stars, the earth, even time itself had a starting point. But God stands outside of all beginnings. He did not come into being. He always was, always is, and always will be. His very nature is eternity. This means He does not depend on creation to exist. Rather, creation depends entirely on Him. He is the only one who can say, I am who I am. Think about how powerful that is. Everything in life has a source. Every river has a spring. Every building has a foundation. Every human has parents. Every invention has an inventor. But God has no source outside Himself. He is the source. He did not emerge from anywhere. He has always existed. That is why you cannot measure Him, limit Him, or define Him by human standards. Our minds struggle with this because we are bound by time, but God is beyond time. For Him, yesterday, today, and tomorrow are all present. He sees the end from the beginning because He lives in eternity. This truth should bring comfort and confidence to your life. If God is eternal, that means He is not subject to change, decay, or death. What He has promised is unshakable because His nature cannot fail. People may change, governments may collapse, economies may rise and fall, but God remains the same. When you anchor your faith in Him, you are anchoring yourself in something that cannot be moved. He is not like shifting sand, He is the eternal rock. Now think about His self-existence. God does not need anyone or anything to keep Him alive. He is life itself. He does not depend on oxygen to breathe, food to eat, or water to drink. He does not depend on the sun to shine or the earth to turn. He is independent, complete in Himself, and lacking nothing. That is why He is called the All-Sufficient One. This is a crucial truth because it means God does not need us. He wants us. His relationship with us is not based on deficiency, it is based on love. He is not seeking us because He is incomplete. He seeks us because He desires to share His fullness with us. That changes everything about how we approach Him. Many people think of God as if He needs their prayers, their offerings, their service in order to survive. But God is not sustained by man. Man is sustained by God. He does not exist because of us, we exist because of Him. When we pray, we are not supplying His needs. We are aligning ourselves with His will. When we give, we are not enriching Him. We are participating in His abundance. When we serve, we are not keeping Him alive. We are expressing the life He already placed within us. Understanding God's independence also sets you free from fear. If creation depends on Him, then nothing in creation can overpower Him. He is not threatened by darkness, by demons, by governments, or by any force of nature. He is independent of all of it. The oceans obey Him, the stars answer to Him, time itself submits to Him. That means your life is secure when it is in His hands. No power on earth or in the heavens can cancel what the eternal, self-existent God has purposed for you. This also means He is the ultimate source of provision. Since He is independent, He is not limited by the resources of this world. If He wants to bless you, He does not have to check with a bank account, an employer, or an economy. He can create streams in the desert, bring water out of a rock, or send manna from heaven. Because He is self-existent, He can provide in ways beyond human imagination. When you understand this, you stop panicking about where your next breakthrough will come from. You rest in the fact that your God is not subject to the same limitations you see around you. But here is something even deeper. God's eternity and self-existence remind us of how small we are and how great He is. Our lives are like a vapor, here today, gone tomorrow. Yet the eternal God chooses to involve Himself in our temporary lives. The one who has no beginning and no end bends down to write Himself into our story. That should fill us with humility and gratitude. It means every day you wake up is a gift from the Eternal One who holds your breath in His hands. It also gives perspective on trials. Sometimes we look at problems as if they will last forever. But remember, you serve a God who lives in eternity. What looks permanent to you is temporary to Him. He can shift seasons, end storms, and bring new beginnings because He is not bound by time. When you face challenges, remind yourself that your situation has an expiration date. But your God does not. He outlives every storm, every enemy, every hardship. When you grasp that God is eternal, self-existent, and independent of creation, it should ignite a new level of trust in Him. You are not following a fragile deity who is at the mercy of the world. You are walking with the eternal King who holds the universe together by His power. And if He can hold galaxies in place, He can hold your life in perfect order. So lift your faith higher. Do not reduce God to human limitations. Do not think of Him as fragile, needy, or dependent. He is eternal, He is self-existent, He is independent, and yet He chooses to call you His own. That is the greatest security you can ever have, and the greatest reason you can live with boldness, confidence, and peace in this world. To know God is to discover your true identity and purpose. Every human being is born with questions deep in their heart. Who am I? Why am I here? What is my life supposed to mean? These questions echo through generations, cultures, and societies. People chase answers in education, careers, relationships, fame, money, and achievements, but no matter how much they gain, there is still an emptiness if they have not discovered God, because identity is not found in things, it is found in the One who created you. Purpose is not invented, it is revealed by the Source who designed you before time began. When you know God, you come face to face with your true self. Without Him, you are like a product without a manufacturer's manual, guessing your way through life, trying to function without understanding your design. The manufacturer knows the reason for the product, the limits, the potential, and the purpose. In the same way, only God, your Creator, knows why you are here. To live without knowing Him is to live without knowing yourself. This is why so many people live in confusion. They let culture, peers, or circumstances define who they are. Some define themselves by their jobs. I am a teacher, I am a doctor, I am an engineer. Others define themselves by what they own. I am wealthy, I am successful, I am powerful. Some even define themselves by their struggles. I am a failure, I am broken, I am unworthy. But these are not true identities. They are temporary labels. The truth is that your identity cannot be rooted in what can change. Because if your career ends, if your money disappears, if your titles are stripped away, then who are you? Your identity must be anchored in something eternal, and that is God Himself. Knowing God reveals to you that you are more than what the world calls you. You are not an accident, not a mistake, not a product of chance. You are a deliberate creation, formed with intention, and placed in time for a purpose. God says you are His workmanship, carefully crafted for good works that He prepared in advance for you to do. That means before your parents even knew you would exist, your Creator had already assigned your destiny. Purpose begins to unfold when you understand this truth. You realize that you were not placed on this earth just to survive, pay bills, and die. You were placed here to make a difference, to manifest something unique that only you can bring. And that discovery is only made in relationship with God. Outside of Him, life becomes a cycle of chasing things that do not satisfy. But in Him, life becomes a journey of fulfillment, because every step aligns with your true design. To know God also breaks the chains of comparison. Many people live defeated lives because they are busy comparing themselves with others. They see someone else's success, beauty, or gifts and feel inadequate. But when you know God, you realize He made no duplicates. You are an original, crafted with specific gifts, specific assignments, and specific impact. You do not need to imitate anyone else, because God's plan for your life is tailor-made. The discovery of God sets you free to embrace yourself, to celebrate your uniqueness, and to walk boldly in your lane without insecurity. It also brings clarity in seasons of difficulty. When challenges come, people often ask, "Why me?" But when you know God, you begin to see trials differently. You realize that purpose is often refined in pressure. Diamonds are formed under intense heat, gold is purified in fire, and strong trees grow roots through storms. God uses challenges not to destroy you, but to reveal strength you did not know you had and to shape you for greater assignments. Instead of asking, "Why me?" you begin to declare, "Prepare me." That is the shift that happens when you anchor identity and purpose in Him. Another powerful effect of knowing God is confidence. When you know who He is and who you are in Him, you stop living in fear of people's opinions. Criticism cannot shake you, rejection cannot crush you, and failure cannot define you because your worth is no longer dependent on external validation. You begin to live from approval, not for approval, because you already know you are accepted, chosen, and loved by God. This understanding also fuels significance. Everyone desires to make a mark, to leave a legacy. But legacy is not about buildings, bank accounts, or trophies. It is about fulfilling the assignment God gave you. When you walk in your true identity, your life impacts others in ways that ripple into eternity. Every word, every action, every decision becomes part of a bigger plan orchestrated by God. And that is when you live not just a life but a destiny. So if you truly want to know yourself, begin by knowing God. If you want to find your purpose, stop looking around and start looking upward. He is the one who carries your identity. He is the one who holds your design. And He is the one who reveals why you were placed on earth. Without Him, you are a shadow of who you are meant to be. With Him, you become a light shining in your generation. To know God is not just theology. It is the most practical step to living a meaningful life. Because when you discover Him, you discover yourself. And when you discover yourself, you discover purpose. And when you walk in purpose, you walk in fulfillment, impact, and destiny. That is why knowing Him is the key that unlocks everything else. God is sovereign, and nothing can challenge His authority. Sovereignty means absolute rule, complete dominion, and unmatched power. It means God is not just another ruler among rulers or another voice among voices. He is the ultimate authority over heaven and earth. Everything seen and unseen bows to Him. His word cannot be overruled, His plan cannot be reversed, and His throne cannot be shaken. To believe in His sovereignty is to rest in the reality that your life is not at the mercy of chance, chaos, or the opinions of men. You are held in the hands of the one whose authority reigns above all. When you grasp the sovereignty of God, it transforms how you see the world. You realize that no government, no leader, no system, no principality is greater than Him. Kingdoms rise and fall, empires come and go, but He remains enthroned forever. The world may seem unstable, filled with injustice, corruption, and uncertainty, but sovereignty reminds us that God has the final say. History is not spinning out of control, it is moving according to His divine plan. What looks like disorder to us is still under His supreme authority. This truth should bring you peace in times of fear. Many people live anxious lives because they believe that their future depends on men, on economies, or on circumstances they cannot control. But when you understand sovereignty, you know that no human decision can override God's will for your life. No boss can cancel your destiny. No enemy can block your blessing. No witchcraft can destroy what He has spoken over you. His sovereignty guarantees that His purposes stand. Even when people plot against you, they end up serving His plan without even knowing it. Look at the story of Joseph. His brothers sold him into slavery. Potiphar's wife lied about him, and he was thrown into prison. From the outside, it looked like his life was destroyed. But in God's sovereignty, every step was leading him closer to the throne of Egypt, where he would save nations. What men meant for evil, God turned for good. That is sovereignty. It takes what was meant to harm you and reshapes it into a testimony. When you know God is sovereign, you also stop living in fear of the unknown. Life will always have surprises, but there are no surprises to Him. He knows the end from the beginning. He is never caught off guard, never in panic, never in confusion. His sovereignty means He already has solutions for problems you have not yet encountered. That's why you can walk boldly into tomorrow, even when you don't have all the answers. Because the one who rules the universe is already there, preparing the way. Sovereignty also means that your life has purpose beyond human explanation. Sometimes you may not understand why certain things happen, why doors close, or why delays occur. But in His sovereignty, God weaves every detail together for your good. Nothing is wasted. Even pain, loss, and hardship become instruments in His hands to shape your destiny. That is why you must learn to trust Him, even when you cannot trace Him. His authority guarantees that nothing can happen outside of His permission. If He allowed it, He will use it. This understanding also brings courage. You no longer need to bow to fear of man or fear of circumstances. If God is sovereign, then He is your ultimate covering. No weapon formed against you can prosper, because it cannot rise above His authority. No curse can stick to you, because His blessing overrides it. No storm can sink you, because His word commands the seas. You are never defenseless, because you are under the protection of the sovereign King. But sovereignty is not just about protection, it is also about submission. If God truly rules, then the wisest thing you can do is surrender your will to His. Too many people fight against His authority, trying to run life on their own terms. But rebellion only leads to frustration, because you cannot resist the Sovereign One and win. The moment you align your life with His authority, you step into peace and progress. His sovereignty is not meant to crush you. It is meant to guide you into destiny. And here is the beauty of sovereignty. The one who has ultimate authority is also your Father. This means His supreme power is not distant or cold, it is personal and loving. The King of Kings who rules over galaxies also cares about your daily needs. He holds the universe together, yet He also counts the hairs on your head. His sovereignty is not only about majesty, it is about intimacy. You can trust Him because His authority is exercised out of perfect wisdom and love. So when you face opposition, remember His sovereignty. When you feel overwhelmed, remember His sovereignty. When you are tempted to worry about tomorrow, remember His sovereignty. Nothing and no one can dethrone Him. He reigns forever, and His authority covers your life. That means your destiny is secure, your purpose is unstoppable, and your future is guaranteed in Him. To know God is sovereign is to live without fear, without confusion, and without doubt. It is to walk boldly, knowing that the final word over your life is spoken not by man, but by the eternal King whose throne cannot be shaken. The attributes of God reveal His character. He is holy, just, merciful, and faithful. To know God is not simply to know that He exists, but to understand what He is like. His attributes are windows into His nature, giving us the assurance that the one we serve is trustworthy, dependable, and worthy of our worship. When you meditate on who He is, your faith is strengthened, your perspective shifts, and your confidence in life deepens, because you realize you are not dealing with a distant deity, but with a God whose character is flawless and unchanging. God is holy. Holiness means He is pure, perfect, and set apart from all corruption. There is no flaw in Him, no shadow, no darkness. Holiness is not just one of His attributes. It is the essence of who He is. This truth calls us to live differently, because if we are made in His image, then we are designed to reflect His holiness in the world. Holiness is not about religious rituals. It is about alignment with His nature. When you pursue holiness, you are not trying to impress God. You are simply becoming who you were created to be. And when you carry holiness, you carry authority, because you are walking in the likeness of the one who is holy. God is also just. Justice means He always does what is right. He is not swayed by lies, manipulation, or pressure. He cannot be bribed, deceived, or corrupted. His judgments are true and righteous altogether. This should encourage you when you see injustice in the world. People may mistreat you, systems may be unfair, the wicked may seem to prosper for a season. But God's justice ensures that wrongs will not remain unaddressed. He has the final word, and His timing is perfect. Knowing this frees you from bitterness and vengeance, because you can trust that the Judge of all the earth will do right. But God is not only holy and just, He is also merciful. Mercy means He does not treat us as our sins deserve. Even when we fall short, He extends grace, forgiveness, and compassion. If God were only just without being merciful, none of us could stand. But His mercy balances His justice, giving us the opportunity to be restored instead of condemned. This attribute reveals His heart as a father, disciplining, yet forgiving, correcting, yet loving. It also challenges us to extend mercy to others, because the mercy we have received is too great to withhold. When you live with mercy, you reflect the God who lifted you up when you did not deserve it. And then God is faithful. Faithfulness means He keeps His word, He never abandons His people, and He always finishes what He starts. He is not like man who makes promises and breaks them. He is not like circumstances, which shift and change with time. He is unchanging, reliable, consistent. When He says He will be with you, He will. When He declares a word over your life, He watches over it until it comes to pass. His faithfulness means you can rest even in seasons of waiting, because you know He cannot lie. What He has spoken will manifest not by your strength but by His commitment. These attributes of God, holiness, justice, mercy, and faithfulness, are not just abstract qualities, they are practical truths that shape how you live. When you know He is holy, you pursue a higher standard for your life. When you know He is just, you stop worrying about what people do to you, because you know He will vindicate you. When you know He is merciful, you rise again after failure, because you understand that your mistakes do not disqualify you from His love. And when you know He is faithful, you stand firm in hope, even when circumstances look impossible. The more you meditate on these attributes, the more your trust in Him grows. You stop doubting His love because His mercy proves it. You stop fearing injustice because His justice guarantees balance. You stop questioning your future because His faithfulness ensures fulfillment. And you stop lowering your standard of living because His holiness calls you higher. Knowing God's attributes also transforms how you relate to others. His holiness inspires you to live with integrity. His justice teaches you to treat others fairly. His mercy softens your heart to forgive. His faithfulness challenges you to keep your word and remain dependable. In other words, His attributes are not just for admiration. They are for imitation. As children of God, we are meant to reflect our Father's character to the world. If you ever feel discouraged, overwhelmed, or uncertain, remember the attributes of your God. He is not unstable, unpredictable, or inconsistent like the world around you. He is holy in His nature, just in His decisions, merciful in His dealings, and faithful in His promises. To know this is to carry peace in storms, hope in waiting, strength in trials, and confidence in the face of uncertainty. So lift your eyes and fix them on His attributes. Do not define God by your circumstances. Define your circumstances by who God is. Let His holiness call you higher, His justice calm your fears, His mercy lift your heart, and His faithfulness anchor your soul. When you know His character, you cannot be shaken, because you know the one who holds your life is flawless, righteous, compassionate, and true.